Tesla was working with this stuff in the late 1800s and early 20th century. Well, he was messing with free energy. He and his nephew drove a car powered only by the energy he took out of the air. He had that technology perfected already in 1928. Tesla wanted to give us this technology for free. Now, with Tesla and the electric cars again, people begin to dig around, and find out that Tesla was talking about this stuff 100 years ago.
In the annals of automotive history, few stories have captured the imagination, quite like the tale of Nikola Tesla's fabled electric car. As we stand in 2025, looking back at the legacy of one of history's most enigmatic inventors, the mystery of Tesla's purported 1921 electric vehicle continues to intrigue and perplex enthusiasts and skeptics alike. The story goes that in 1931, Tesla, already a renowned inventor and electrical engineer, unveiled a modified Pierce Arrow car that ran on electricity without the need for traditional batteries. According to the legend, Tesla had replaced the gasoline engine with an AC electric motor and installed a mysterious cosmic energy power receiver under the hood. This box, measuring about 25 inches long, 10 inches wide, and 6 inches high, supposedly contained 12 vacuum tubes and was connected to a 6-foot antenna.
Little known to the public is the fact that the inventor of the horseless carriage road engine was not Henry Ford, but one George B. Selden. Selden sold his patent from 1895 to the Association of Licensed Automobile Manufacturers, and the companies in the fledgling industry were required to pay only 1% of their yearly earnings to this association. Henry Ford refused to abide by the Selden patent, and was quoted as saying that Selden and his patent can go to hell. Rockefeller took an interest in Ford, whose case was lost when the court decided in favor of the Association of Licensed Automobile Manufacturers. Rockefeller came to Ford's defense with plenty of money and legal counsel, and when Ford appealed, the Court of Appeals overturned the previous decision, ruling in favor of Ford. The invention by Nikola Tesla of the AC induction motor around 1900 dealt a serious blow to Rockefeller and Ford's plan for an automobile industry that would rely heavily on crude oil refined into gasoline. This combination of a combustion motor and its need for gasoline could create a fortune for Ford and rescue Rockefeller from the falling price of kerosene due to the advent of electricity. Tesla's invention would create cars running on electricity and topple the giant, and using Ford and Thomas Edison, who tried to prove that AC was a danger, Rockefeller managed to turn the automobile industry towards combustion engines and gasoline. Ford's Model T became a hit, he became extremely wealthy, and Ford became a huge employer of labor in Michigan, a labor force he ruled over in a heavy-handed, authoritarian fashion.
So here's a fun one to look into, the Manual of Free Energy Devices and Systems, Volume 2 by D.A. Kelly. Shows all these different devices utilizing free energy, static fields, even Victor Schauberger's flying saucer. You know the whole UFO thing? Victor Schauberger. And then you got stuff with Tesla in here, just absolutely remarkable information. These are Tesla's patents connecting into a ground and a circuit using an antenna to harness the static fields. Goes a little bit more into here, the Hubbard coil, very interesting one. And then this is a real one, Nikola Tesla coils, very cool stuff. Primary coils, I mean, this book is just filled with stuff. This is how you originally made a solar panel back in the day. Now they use esoteric practices, goes into more on here. Got all different types of diagrams and designs, but just so much information.
To the Stubblefield Earth battery, and Nikola Tesla standing there with this old farmer, where he's running his whole farm on this device where he has stakes in the ground that are tapping into this electromagnetic and mostly magnetic flux field and running generators running his farm. This is 1902.
That's in 1902?
1902. And Nikola Tesla is standing there. I got the picture. This document is going to blow. It goes from that all the way to the Lockheed Skunk Works devices that started being built in the 50s.
There is a mysterious force all around us all of the time, and we can harness it to produce power. You might think one of two things. First thing you might think is, I knew it, the power companies have been robbing me my entire life. And the other thing you might think is, well, Rob's finally gone and cracked. But what I'm talking about isn't wind, it's what we discussed in video 1840. It's atmospheric electricity. The Earth is essentially one great big ball of electrons, and above our head there's a huge cloud of positive ions, and every meter you go up, you get a voltage difference of 100 volts, right the way up to about 52 kilometers, where it's hundreds of thousands of kilovolts. That actually exists, and there's a huge amount of work going on to try to harness that. Now, it's really just an example of electrostatics. And you can think of electrostatics as the magnetism of electricity. It works because like forces, whatever they are, always repel. Unlike forces, always attract. It's part of what makes things stick to each other. It's part of why atoms don't fly apart. It's a force all around us, all of the time, that we can harness.
There was an inventor named Floyd Sweet, and he had a solid state device, looked like a little bigger than a cigarette pack, that you could attach to an electric motor, say for a car. It wasn't plugged in. Once it got going, it was a 0 point quantum vacuum flux, and it would run a 300 horsepower motor. So imagine having a 300 horsepower motor in your Tesla or your truck, and this little, and there are no batteries. You don't have 900 pounds of lithium-ion batteries, and the lithium-ion batteries really are destroying the environment. And you never have to plug it in. About the time he was going to get, he was meeting with some people at GM who thought they were interested, but they were actually just trying to find out what he had. After that meeting, he died suddenly, suspiciously.
How?
People claiming, well, he dropped dead of a heart attack. And that was plausible because he was an elderly guy. Mm-hmm. But before that, he had an assassination attempt. He was going up some steps, and a sniper was trying to shoot it, but he didn't know it, but he tripped just as the bullet went right past his head. And we have the testimony of a lieutenant colonel who was involved in this case, who is a physicist also.
This, and what I've done is I've designed a machine. Let's have a look at it. It's working. Okay, I know I'm using a high voltage supply, but I actually got about 2 volts. So the conversion factor, that's about a kilovolt or so, but it's using microamps. Let's put it up a little bit. Yeah, that is some speed, hey? Now you see these things being developed by people doing things like drilling holes in bits of wood, that kind of thing. And there's lots and lots of research. If you go back to video 1840, you'll see some of what I mean. That's about 5 volts, so we're about 2.5 kilovolts, and we're still in the microamp range. Bang it up some more. That is just fantastic. Look at that go! Amazing. Look at it! Okay, so for a long time, these were seen as little more than toys, really, scientific curiosities. You can find motors all over the internet, very simply made from styrofoam cups and aluminium tape. But they've made great inroads recently. And if you want to look at somebody who's doing an independent development, then have a look at Laser Hacker and his Atmo motor. Very impressive thing indeed. But then industrially, there's things like the C motor, because these are in fact capacitive. There's a lot of capacitance involved in this, and it's based on the work of Oleg Jefimenko, if you want to look that up as well. Now, I did these nails for a specific reason. Some of the stuff I've been looking at have the combs interweaving each other, but you then need a dielectric to stop the arcing. You said, remember, breakdown voltage of air is about 1000 volt per millimetre, so these are quite well spaced away from the actual drum to prevent that arcing happening, and we're working it by induction. It's an inductive effect where the positive charge forces a negative charge. Anyway, we can go into electrostatics some other time. The simple thing is that these motors are becoming much more significant in what they can do for some of the reasons we've mentioned. I mean, one thing is it's predominantly plastic, it's hardly any metal. We ran this motor up, which is surprisingly efficient actually, with a 3D printer and a bag of nails, so it doesn't take a lot to do it. No soldering involved, nothing really in terms of the machining involved, so it's very simple to make. And that means it's more accessible. Now, it's only working from the natural static electricity around us. Yes, I used a high voltage on this to see it was actually working, because it's the first one I've made. There are various issues with this. These handles are snagging on here. You'll notice I've removed the feet, because they also snagged at the feet. So when I was designing this, I didn't really think it through. When I put it into practice, there's a couple of little things I still need to do to it, so I'm going to be working on this some more because it's very impressive. And as I said, it's a power source that's all around us that was previously ignored and thought of as stupid, and it suddenly has become very, very interesting to lots of people.